Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Lori J Journals. I am here with week 4 of the Savage Art All Things Altered August Challenge. So if you haven't seen the other episodes or you're not a member of the group, what we've been doing each week in August is we've been challenging group members to alter something, to take something that most people have in their home and alter it and create something that is journal friendly, something you can use in your journal or as a journal. Okay, so week 1 of the challenge, we altered playing cards. Week 2 of the challenge, we used paper bags to create journals, accordion journals, flip-flop journals, all different kinds of things. And last week, we made mini file folders out of file folders, old file folders that we might have had in our homes. This week has been a challenge. Between All Things Altered, our collage challenges from the month of July, or June rather, and all the great things that Arlene is doing with Let's Make It Monday and the Savage Take 5, it's been a challenge to find things that we haven't done before. So it's the balance of something new and also something that most people have in their home to alter, because that's the whole point of the challenge, right? Not to have to go out and buy a whole bunch of materials or access something that you don't have. So this week, we are quite simply altering packaging. So this right here is a very tall journal card. It would have to be used in one of my larger journals, but it's a journal card that I made out of a piece of packaging. So you notice up here, the hole is not round. It's kind of like a rectangle slot, and that's because that was the hole that was already in the back piece of the packaging. So this had plastic or something over it and came with something in it, and I'm already forgetting what it was a package from. But I took painted paper that I made, I embellished it some more with some stamping and some other add-on pieces. I sewed around the edges and added some writing lines on the back. And there you go, we have a journal card. So I'm going to do the same thing today with one or both of these. This one is, from Quote Chips. So those little word boards that I have in a container now because I opened the package. And this came, I believe, from the Tiny Tool Dauber, the blending tool. I save these every time I open a piece of packaging. I try to preserve it as best I can so that I can use and upcycle. And that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to make journal cards or tags, however we decide to call them, out of these pieces of packaging. Now, you can cover this up completely if you don't like the way the holes are. These are hanging holes for when they're displayed at the store. You can just lop this off with your paper cutter or scissors, take the top off. I actually like it because it's already a tag. I don't have to create holes. And here, just so you know, I believe this one actually had a hole shaped a little like this, but when I covered it with collage paper, I was able to actually just limit it to a rectangle that I created with my scissors. So you have your choice. You can do what you want. I've brought over both a folder of various collage papers I have and also some painted papers that I've made. I've collected from making some journals lately. The trick here, if you're going to collage on these or cover them with paper, is you don't want to use a real thick paper. If you use thick scrapbooking paper or cardstock, it's going to make your card too thick. And it also may be difficult to get that paper to stay on because it's too much. The layer is too thick. So you want to either paint or collage with a thinner type paper. Keeping in mind, in the beginning, like this is a piece of painted tissue. When I cover this over, if you look real closely, you can still see some of the image and the writing underneath. But eventually, as you do some more embellishment, you can always cover up right? You can put a sentiment, you can put a flower. I wouldn't be overly concerned unless it's really bold and you're concerned that, you know, I would have a little work to do on this side. But even still, easy to cover, and you can do more than one layer. So again, I brought over, here's some tissue. This is some mulberry paper. It's a nice thin texture, so it will mat down easily in collage. These are actually just blotted papers from while I was doing painting. I use these sometimes when the ink is too wet, and they make some fun collage fodder. This is just another piece of paper I painted way back. This was just a lightweight paper that somebody sent me in a bundle, and it has like a coffee dyed look, though I believe it is printed off of a dye make, so there's no scent, there's no coffee on here or tea or anything like that. And then I have my whole folder of collage paper of different kinds. I have some Tim Holtz, I have a bunch of paper artsy, Alison Balmer, some other artists in here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I have two, and I think I'll do a mix. First, I'm going to do something with color and my painted papers, and then I think I'll move over and do something black and white with collage. So, actually, I might have to do the other way around. These papers may not be wide enough to cover this. Yep, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to do the black and white on this one, and I'm going to use this one because this paper is not wide enough to cover that other tag. All right, I did forget to bring over one thing, which is a base so that I don't get any more glue than I already have over my mat. I'm almost due for another one, you can see. I do my best to cover it, but you know, sometimes when you're in the thick of things, you're like, oh, it's okay, it doesn't matter, I'll wipe it down. So there's all kinds of glue and paint and stuff on there. Just really doesn't bother me. Okay, the last thing is this one. You see me picking at this one because there's an uneven texture here because this layer came off when I pulled the plastic packaging off, but it still remains in the middle. I mean, I could sand it down. I'm not going to sweat it. I'm going to let it be a little bit bumpy. Doesn't bother me. When I'm doing a lot of collage, I take out my collage medium or matte medium, something like that. But I'm only doing a small make here. So I'm just going to use glue stick. It's just as effective. And as you've heard me say probably many times, is I can always reinforce the edges with the point of my art glitter glue. Now, I like to use edges to my advantage whenever possible. Ooh, this one's not long enough. I've got a hole there. I'm going to take a different one. Any edge that I don't have to cut later or try to make exact, I'm going to take advantage of that here. See, so I matted that one right down to the edge because then that's one edge I don't have to trim. Now you can see that some of this is still visible, and that's okay. I can create another layer. I can embellish over it. And I did myself a disservice because I think if I had moved this part all the way down to the edge, I probably wouldn't have had enough. No big deal. All right. Mulberry paper is a little bit delicate, so you don't want to press too hard when you use your bone folder, but I do want to make sure I get as many crinkles out as possible. I'm going to take the edge off here, and I'm not going to worry about all the edges just yet because I still have to put another piece on. Sometimes I like to fold this over so that I get a nice covered edge there. but then it will, A, it will not match on this side, and B, it might create yet another kind of bump or uneven. I'm going to go ahead and cut it off. Okay, so there's, and again, I'm not super concerned when edges don't look perfect because there's a good chance I'm going to sew on this, and again, you can always embellish. So let's take some more of this mulberry paper. This one, I think I determined this one wasn't long enough because of that rip right there. Yeah. So I'm going to use this one. So I believe this is the side that I painted on. I'm not loving those pink dots, and I think they're a little bit more faded if I glue it on this way. So I think I'm going to do that. Let's cover this with glue again. This side. This time I am going to use the edge down here so I can maximize the use of the remainder of this paper. You know, we do all this work to make journal cards and tags, which is wonderful, but all of this packaging is the perfect material. They're nice and strong. They're not overly thick. And it helps us reduce trash. So it's great to use them as much as possible. And if you're really into repurposing and trash reduction, which we are in our household, it's a really great way to turn trash into art supplies, right? All right, so I have a base, I've got color, and because of the kind of paper I use, I use mulberry paper. You'll encounter the same thing if you use mulberry paper or tissue paper or jelly paper. But if you use a thicker, just a regular paper that's dyed, it won't be see-through. But that's okay because, again, I'm going to continue to embellish on it. This is the thing I want to be most concerned about, is that I can see the word there. Everything else I think will kind of blend in. A little bit of text beneath a surface isn't so bad. And this down here. Okay. One of the things I'm thinking is I might make a pocket tag. So on this side, I could create a pocket down here so that this gets covered up. I'll turn it, well, I don't want to turn it upside down because I want to use the natural opening for my tag hole for the ribbon or string that I put at the top. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is before we embellish that, I'm going to work on covering up this tag, and that way we can go to the next phase for both tags. Again, I'm bringing out I have a folder of all kinds of tissue. This is a deli paper, it's a little thicker. I was thinking that I might like something like this. This is Dina Wakley. I also have this one. This one looks kind of fun, actually. You'd think I would use the pieces that I've cut off already so that I could, they're not big enough. At one point, I was kind of collecting cuts of letters and numbers because I was working on something. These are all the pieces that were left behind when I was finished. I think I'll use this little piece of plastic to put them away and get them out of the way. The challenge is always getting them in without getting them stuck to the adhesive on the bag. All right. That's good. That way I can preserve them and also get them out of the way while I'm working, while recording. Perfect. All right. So this is beautiful Allison Bomber. I used this when we did the CD envelopes, but it's a little more delicate. I don't think it's going to provide bold enough coverage for this. So I think I might go with this. Let's see. And this is also Paper Artsy. The artist is Seth Apter. Paper Artsy does really great lines that are specific to certain designers. I mentioned the other one, Allison Bomber. She is a fodder school teacher, and her artwork is absolutely beautiful. She does a lot of nature inspired and literature inspired, and her talent is exquisite. Okay, I think if I use something like this, so the tag's inside here, I think it's all going to get covered up nicely. So I'm going to make myself a piece here. So I can get the rest out of the way. I don't know what I did. I didn't fold it right. Oh, there we go. Okay. So just a little, while I'm putting this stuff away before I get started, just a little, creator's note from me. Whenever I get an idea or I buy a supply that's aligned to or inspired by a particular artist, I like to mention that for other people. It gives them exposure and it thanks them for the inspiration that they give the rest of us. So you noticed I mentioned Allison Bomber, Seth Apter. I often mention Dina Wakely. We all talk about, of course, Tim Holtz. But, you know, Tim Holtz is more widely known at this point. I doubt that he needs us to to give him props, although we will continue to do that because we love his products. But I do like to make sure I mention artists who inspire me. All right, here we go. So I'm going to use some of this Seth Apter. And, oh, I love, look at this at the edge. Write your own story. I love that. I do want to make sure, I'm trying to find a spot to cover. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this edge right here. Not sure if you can hear it in the background, but it just started totally storming here. It's a dark, gloomy, stormy morning here in Southwest Florida. We're kind of used to it. It's hurricane season. We're just hoping that the storms stay storms and that we don't have a hurricane this year. We've already had one that I know I shouldn't make light of it because there was devastation further north of me, but we were lucky down here. And I'm hoping that we continue to be lucky. All right, now this is collage tissue, which is just like tissue paper. So I need to be really careful. I also typically don't mind if there's a little bit of creasing in tissue paper because it adds texture and character. And for this one, just because I'm here and it's easy, well, I was gonna flip this over, but I actually think I want to use this piece or that piece, so I'm not gonna do that. I am going to cut this. I'm not sure why, maybe you're the same. I have a tendency to like to cut in a certain direction. I like to move from the right to the left. So I have to find which side is comfortable for me. Like you saw that I just flipped. I can't cut like that. I like to cut in this direction. Maybe it has something to do with whether you're a lefty or a righty, or maybe it's just personal preference. Okay, so I love the way this says write your own story here. And this is a nice wide card. And what I'm going to do here on this side is I'm just going to use some of these circles for background, because I am going to make, especially because of what this says, I'm going to make a writing spot here with probably with either blank or lined paper. So I don't want anything particularly focal point about this piece of collage paper, because it likely will just get covered up. Oh yeah, that's fun. And yeah, you can see the writing, but again, on this side, I'm going to put a writing spot, so it's okay. And you don't have to do this, obviously, but if you have a sewing machine and you like to sew edges, I highly recommend it when you make these kinds of cards, because it seals your edges really nicely. You don't have to worry about the corners coming up. If you look at this one that I made, I did a more decorative stitch, and it really seals the edges so you don't have to worry about anything peeling back. And I think I will do this with these. All right, so I have the coverage on both pieces, the background. Now I just need to work on embellishing. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to work on the blue one first. Give this one a little chance to dry and seal up. And you can wait till the end, but I actually want to create the hole at the top now, because it might impact how I decide to embellish. And just so you know, I mean, there's no perfect way to do this. I made this hole by taking this scissors and just poking straight through. When it got to the neck of the scissors right here to the joint, it made a really nice square. And I'm going to try it again in this one, because why not? It looked nice in the other one. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it looks good. And once you put the tie in there, it doesn't really show that much anyway. If you're a stickler and you want to do the whole circle thing with a reinforcement, you can do that. I've just decided not to, because that's not the original shape. Okay? All right. Let's think of what we want to do next. I think I do want to make a pocket on this side, because I do want to cover this up. And something to consider when you make a tag. If you already know what you're using it for, it's helpful. If you don't, you want to be careful how much you embellish a tag. I always go through this thought process of, if I decorate too much down towards the bottom, that when I tuck it into a pocket or a corner tuck into a journal, that it's going to get caught up on stuff. So you want to be careful layering too much onto the bottom part of a tag, unless you already know what you're using it for and you're not concerned about it. So let's see what I have. Nope. I'm just looking in my bucket here, my kind of pieces of stray paper, because I might have something that I can use, but I don't really see anything in the right color scheme. Wait, what's this? That might look pretty. So I might, let's see, put this over something else. And then that, no, well, it's not quite wide enough for the hearts. Let me try to find something else. And I'm dealing with blue and a little bit of pink here. I'm not sure if you can see that on camera. So maybe, yeah, I like that. It's funny how something that really was a scrap paper can become something pretty in your journal. It's another way of repurposing, right? We're all looking for little scrap busters. And I really, you know, I've said this before, I really like a straight edge. So I am using my paper cutter, which I just... So another little trick, if you have textured paper, and this is probably not earth-shattering, a lot of you have probably already thought of this, but if you have textured paper, in this case I have layered paint and some creases, it's a good idea on your paper cutter to turn it face down, because then it doesn't trip up on your blade. I'm trying to figure out how big I want this, how tall I want this pocket to be. Maybe 2 inches is good. Yeah, it completely covers up that concern at the bottom. It's wide enough to take the hearts, which I think are a cute addition. Now I just have to make it the right width. I really like this pink splotch here, so I'm going to make sure I don't lop that off. Okay, and I could go with a true pocket, bring it all the way down to the bottom, around the edges, so that it blends to the tag. But I actually think, I don't know, I'm trying to decide if I want to leave the bottom open and make it a belly band, but I really wanted to cover all this up. So I think it's going to be a true pocket, but I'm gonna glue it down here and leave the bottom edge so that I don't have to round the pocket. I don't really want to do that. And I can leave this tab sticking out just for interest, but then it's going to cause a problem the way I mentioned about when you tuck it into something. So let's just go ahead and get this down. And I'm going to cut the edge off when I'm finished. Good old art glitter glue, the tiny little tip. Nice and sticky. Nothing earth-shattering here, just layering up some scraps that I already had to create interest and to cover up the writing on the original packaging that I don't want to show. Last thing to consider before I glue it on is, do I want it to have a little opening here? I think I do, just to be safe. It's not the thickest paper, and I don't want to have any trouble tucking a little tag in there. So there we go. I could ink this up a little with blue, but I think I'm just going to leave it alone and glue it on. Get her done. All right, how cute is that? One of the other things I did on this one is I was able to see a teeny bit of the lettering underneath when I added the paper on, and that's why I did some stamping. So I think I might do some stamping on this one. Again, I'm going to leave that to the end so that if I want to do it on both tags that I can. So I've got the back. I have a cute little tag tuck in there. Let's just put a tag in there for funsies. Okay, and that's what it would look like. I actually think it could even take a bigger one. Barely. Eek. Nope. I'll use this black one because on camera it'll be nice contrast. Okay, so you can probably even put more than one. Yeah, really cute. Okay, and now let's turn it over and see what we want to do. On this side, I want it to be two-sided, and at the very least, I want it to look finished on both sides. So, and remember, I am going to sew this at the very end. Probably not on camera, but you'll see it in the finished thumbnail. So up here is where I can do some, this will lay pretty flat because I'm going to do some stamping. It'll have a flat tag in there. Here's where I want to do something with a little more texture. And you guessed it, there's going to be fabric involved. Oh, look at how cute this is. This is a leftover little piece of, it's like a multi-string fiber that I got. And this one I think is from Taperlogy. Taperlogy. I think that's how you pronounce it. Some of you in the Savage Art group who completed all the Savage Stitches challenges got some of this kind of string from me as a thank you for participating in all of the challenges. All right. I think I'm going to take a little piece of, this is some of my favorite. And by the way, this is nothing hard to get. This is I got a big piece of this gauzy white fabric from, I think, Joann's. I ordered it online and I love it because it, pulls apart. It's real scrappy. So already I can see that if I create a cluster here, it's going to cover the distress and I can still get my string in there. So perfect. All right, let's see what else we got. And I think it's going to top with that. Oh, I love it. The colors are perfect. Let's see if I have something a little bit pink to bring out just looking in my scrap bowl here. I've had this scrap for a while. Sometimes I feel like, let me see if I can get a little piece of it. It feels like a little cutesy sometimes, and I'm not going for that look. But there's glitter in here and a little bit of pink, and it's not terribly exaggerated. So maybe it's cute. I don't know. Let's see if I have anything else pink before I commit. I've said this before, one of my favorite terms. Oh, I think I just stuck my hair into the camera, so excuse that if you got a little view of my messy bun. Barbara from 49 Dragonflies always calls it auditioning. I love that. When you can't decide what you want to do and you have more than one thing and you want to audition different things. This is a favorite fabric. I've used it a lot. I'm not sure if the colors are right. I'm just not sure if actually, I kind of like it. I'm going to do a quick stitch on the machine because it's on and right here. Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. Let's get it down with a little bit of Fabri-Tac. Actually, I think I'm going to use tacky glue. I don't know if you can can you see this spot? I think you can in camera. I've gotten to where I remind myself, bring a jar of water because you never know when you're going to want to paint or use ink. And I've found myself several times wishing, I should have brought some water over because I really want to do a little painting and now I'm not prepared, and so I decide not to do it. Oh, I love how this looks. The colors are right. It's got scrappy texture, which everybody knows I love. The colors go. I might want to add a sentiment there. Let's see. Let's see what we got. So when I think of these colors, this kind of light blue and glittery, it's dreamy to me. Follow your dreams. That one looks a little too long. Like, I don't know where I would put it. Let's see what else. Beautiful day. Let's see. I love that. See possibility everywhere, but it's too long. She is brave. Yeah, why not? As with all sentiments, I always put a little bit of glue because over time they tend not to stick permanently. Yeah, I wanted something small that I could put up here, but actually I have to, now I don't know if that's where I want it. How about right here? Beautiful. And then I've got the tuck pocket. Ooh, and look, even with the black here, maybe the black tag here, I'll have to take one side and put something to write on there. But, all right, let's get something in there to... Oh, yeah. And that's just a torn piece of pink ribbon I had in my... I don't know if I love it. I don't like the way it hangs, but whatever. I can always change that. All right, so here's project number 1. And I might do a little inking down here because I can still see Ranger, but that's really not that big of a deal. I'm going to sew around the edges off camera. I'm not going to take the time to do it right now to finish it up, but I think she came out really great. Right? And then the back has the tag. All right, let's do this one now. So this one says write your own story. I obviously don't want to cover that up because that is... I love that. So I might do something up here. And then on the back, I don't want to do a whole lot other than add some space for writing. And so this tag is black and white. I think I might go with... What color? What color lined paper would I like to put on here? I have some green with blue lines. I have some pink with blue lines. I think I have some left white with brown lines. And then, of course, there's traditional paper. I'm not sure. For starters, let's get our hole in there. So that's, all right. So what I want to do some embellishing here. I want to cover the Tim Holtz again. So it's all black and white with a little bit of like natural brown coming through from the original color of the tag. So I think I am going to go with the white lined paper with the brown. I'm not sure. I don't have that handy. So I will add that on at the end and show it to you in the final when I'm finished. But what I do want to do here is some of the embellishing. So it's like black and white, but also natural colors. And maybe this will be my string for it. I'm not sure. It might be too loosey-goosey. All right. So I have a little piece of natural cloth there. Got a nice scrap, which, let's see if you can, whoops, I'm gonna drop it. This is like an, excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. It's kind of an off-white cloth and it's got like a light brown running through it. I like that. I also have over here some off-white lace. I've been using this for texture lately. It's almost gone. Looks like I have a new stamp for my jelly plate. Maybe this provides some nice, it has wire in it, and it provides some nice support for other pieces of fabric and adds another dimension to the texture. This is too long. I think I'm gonna, I wouldn't mind if I had something with a little bit of black running through it, since the whole thing is kind of black. Oh, here's a piece of, oh, look at that, Tim Holtz ruler fabric. All right, so only thing missing here for me is something really scrappy, you know, like shredded. And I think I need to add a piece of my gauze. And I think in doing that, I can remove this piece. Sorry for the sniffles, man. The storm tends to kick my allergies in. Yeah, I like that because it's nice and scrappy. It covers up Tim Holtz. Sorry, Tim. All right, we're gonna do a quick stitch to hold it all together. I did not position my sewing machine pedal in a good way for filming today. All right. I have off-white thread in my sewing machine, so you don't really see it, which is fine. Oh, you can see a little bit of the zigzag right there. All right, let's get some, actually, I've learned that with this material right here, I need Fabri-Tac tacky glue. Is a little tough on this. This kind of needs a lot of coaxing to stick because it's this kind of really textured, wiry material. All right. Oh, I love it. See, it's not even stuck yet. I'm going to clip it so that I don't have to hold it while we're, actually that's about as, this clip isn't big enough. I have a bigger one, let's see. All right, that'll hold while we work on the rest. And again, I love this, so I don't want to take away from this. I almost want to do a circle around it or arrows that point to it. And back here, I'm just going to put a writing spot. So there's not a whole lot left to do. But I do have an idea. Stick with me for just a minute. We're almost done. I think I want to do a gold circle around that. So this is like one of my favorite stamps. It's new. And maybe if I do it with a little bit of gold, let's see, this is taking a risk here. I've never used this gold ink. I've used the rose gold, but never. All right, let's see. Let's see what happens. Oh, yeah. I love it. You know, sometimes you just have to take risks. I try to tell myself, you know, sometimes when I'm using ink with my stamps, I get really precious. Like, oh, what if that color doesn't come off? Or what if I ruin the stamp? But you know what? Layering inks on your stamps sometimes gives the stamp character when you use it again. And I remind myself what's the end of the world, right? Is I save up a little money and buy a new one because I don't like the way it works anymore. I mean, that's totally doable, right? We're not talking about things that cost thousands of dollars. So yeah, sell one item in my Etsy shop and buy a new one. But I don't normally have to do that because again, it usually does not end up in disaster. So there we go. I'm going to add one other embellishment here. I feel like this became very rectangular. And so I need to break it up with something right there. And I'm going to put lines on the other side. And I think I might like the contrast of kind of the boldness of this tag with a little bit of lace for here. But maybe it's so rarely I get to use black. I don't use black a lot in my work. I have some other black. How about a little bit of this black cord instead? The only trouble is I don't know if it's going to stay. It's like satiny and a little bit slippery. And it may not want to stay. But so far I like it. And now that I'm looking at it, it might be brown. Up against the black, it looks brown. Take two. What are we going to do instead? Let's see. Let's see what we've got. I don't know. How about this? No, it's a little too bright. I have also got this piece of, nope, doesn't go. All right. I will find something that works and you'll see it in the final product. Let me get an embellishment for right there. I think what I'd like to do, I was thinking about gluing on a bow, but instead, I think what I'd like to do is add a pin and a charm. So let me see. Theme is write your own story. There is a ruler piece there with numbers. I'm just trying to think of what the right embellishment is there. Let's see. You know, with write your own story, I can really put anything. Here's a pin. And what do we have for a charm? Let's see. Maybe just a letter. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I think I have a book charm in here. I do. It's a little bit big. I don't know if I like that. I don't think I like the look of the gold at all, actually. But maybe a letter. Just a random letter. I'm going to let one random one come out. B. There we go. We're going to put the letter B. I think I also have a number somewhere. I could change it out if I want. The nice thing about this is it's not permanent because it's just a pin, right? This video has become kind of long. Wasn't planning on that, but we're having so much fun. All right, I'm not sure if I'll keep that, but it is kind of cute. And just to finish, I don't know if I'm going to leave this in there, this lace, but let's, just so that it looks finished, let's get it on for the tag. All right, so here's the original one I made. Whoops, lace everywhere. That was from a tall piece of packaging. Here's the one we just did. I love this one with this one just has the tag tuck on the back, so it's like a double tag. And then here's this one, write your own story. And then I'm gonna add the lined paper to the back and you'll see it in the final product. So there we go. All Things Altered August, week 4. We are altering any kind of packaging that you have. You can do something similar to what I did, but if you don't have, this type of packaging, we challenge you to use any kind of packaging that you have. Repurpose something for All Things Altered August. Remember to hashtag your post All Things Altered 4 because it's let me back up. All Things Altered August 4, right? All Things Altered August 4. And have fun. We can't wait to see your creations.